What's crafting, my friends, and welcome to a brand new mini-series of Let's Build with Gollum. This episode we are going to be building mushrooms because we all know how complicated these things are. Let's get on with it. The basics of a mushroom: you've got your mushroom stem and then you've got this. The very blocky and not full of detail. And we can change that just a little bit. So if you want to sort of edit this, you can very simply add a few of these blocks underneath. And then once that is done, you should be left with more of a lip, a little bit similar to your red one. Then it looks a little bit like that. Now there's another thing that you're missing off these mushrooms, and it's a more of a rounded shape. Now this is very square, and so is the smaller one. So let's work out, because as well our mushrooms have only got a 1 block stem, so let's work out something a little bit more complicated. So let's just start with a 1 and we'll work up, and then normally not all mushrooms are the same, so we want to bring it out maybe 1, and that will give you a little bit of a angular base. And then when it comes down to the bottom, you never want it to be one thick, so add a couple of these. We could always, a little bit like a tree really, possibly do one like that, and then we can add maybe walls. On my main channel we have some different walls and the mushroom stems, but these can work quite well. So that is already looking like a mushroom stem wall. Maybe you can always bring in, say, white panes. Let's see if we can find some white panes. If we do this and then we bang some of that down, if you bring a white pane, it will just give it that little bit more of a edge. You see how that's creating more of a mushroom type style. Maybe we could just chuck in 1 there, and maybe, just maybe, we could do 1 there. No. We'll work on this as we go in, and like you build up the shape, and that's one of the main things. Now I'm quite lucky, I'm in creative at the moment, so we can make this into, say, a brown mushroom. So let's just bring this up a little bit more. We'll cut it there. Say you want to make it a nice rounded shape. So we always work out, so we've got 2 there, so you want a 2 there, 2 there. Now that's too flat on top, so what you want to do is probably add a few more there. Now the shape is already coming together, and then you could go bang, add 1 there. So we do this repeatedly until you get your desired shape. So this is basically, this is just a more basic mushroom. You can add more complicated shapes as you're building. Now if this is working, hopefully it does, we would now have a sort of basic mushroom shape. And the brilliant thing about these mushrooms is that you can add even more. So you can possibly add, like, bring 1 there, and you could probably just stick 1 there, like a little stem coming off it. Now I know you can get the textures off, but on creative I don't think I can, so we'll use a different block to sort of add some creative flair to the area itself. So you know what I might do for now is use, because I use lights, it's nice to add a little bit, because it's nice to add a little bit of texture. So we'll try some of this glow like, and if you add a little bit of this, if you're doing it like an alien-esque feel, this helps a lot. But there you go. So this is a basic sort of mushroom. and it works well. I think it works quite cool. But let's try a more complicated, larger stemmed mushroom. So that was more of a basic one. So larger stemmed. So you always want to start off with your basic sort of circle. So let's just change that to 2, like that. Now you can add as you go in, but I like to do a couple of layers first, and then you can always bring these up. So you maybe chuck one there, leave that low, chuck one there, bring that one up a bit more, bring that there, and bring that one up, yeah, like that. So that is like you are creating a little bit of depth into the stem work. Around here, so you're always creating some sort of movement, so some sort of shape. Now this is too sharp on this corner, so you want to probably take that down 2, and then it's 2 level, so you create that, do something like that. Now that is a basic sort of shape. Let's take that off as well. You don't want sharp edges. So you bring these up, let's chuck one in there, so it does slowly come down to say 2 by 2, and then we can go, let's make it sort of arched as well. Arching with mushrooms is always a good thing to do. I have created ones that sort of flow downwards, so you can do something like this and go down one. Then these ones you could always swap with walls or stairs. We'll try some with stairs because the stairs will create something completely different. Let's use some bricks, not bricks, some wood stairs. Oh, not that one. Because this will add some shading into it as well, and then just a little bit of variance between things. And whilst we've got that shape sort of growing, which is quite cool, let's chuck in a few more shapes down here. We'll chuck in probably one of these there. You can possibly use probably a pane there just to extend that just the tiniest bit, and you want to ground this thing so you have this grounded. Let's take that one, bring that there, put one up there, maybe put there. That adds some rounded shapes into it. This is quite a thick boy, and then this side it's too flat. So if you're ever wondering, you ever get into that point where it's going, oh, it's not working, it's getting too sort of flattish, take stuff out. Never be afraid to take stuff out and blend it in and try different ways. So now we've got this sort of arched, and it's not just arched, it's twisting. I quite like the twisting look about it. Now that is quite an unusual shape, and I think that works quite well. Now what I also use in my new series is glowstone. Now we could all get glowstone through trading, which is very, very helpful. So I always add, don't say always have, I have been adding just a little bit of glowstone just underneath the shape. And let's make this one a red one. Now you can use any sort of colours, either experiment with terracotta, glazed terracottas, anything really. You can build mushrooms from anything, and as long as you get your basic mushroom shape right, I think it works quite well. Now let's layer in some more of these. Now you don't want to go like straight out. So if you can get a little bit of shape into this, it will work out quite well. So we're going to go for 3 more, and then because we don't want to show this, I wonder if we could. No. So normally on survival, you'll be able to get rid of some of the stuff. But if I drop it down 1 more, and this will give it this lovely sort of mushroomy shape. And then you can always add like vines or stuff hanging, because some mushrooms have these sort of dangly parts on the outside. And we're nearly there now. So we'll see what it looks like in a moment, because we'll add some of the dangly parts. Let's see if we can find some natural vinage or weeping vines. I think weeping vines might work. Or there is always these. That might work as well. So these will work quite well because it goes with the red. And obviously you can get these from the Nether, and I think they're going to work out quite well. You don't want to overload it, but you've got this sort of almost hanging lamp. Now these obviously pale hanging ones will work quite well with this, just to give it that overgrownness. And the main thing you want to do with mushrooms and these biomes is texturizing the area. That's a big thing. So you could like add lots of grasses around here and make it more detailed. But yes, you've got some styles of mushrooms. Like I said before, and I love it in the dark, it works out very nicely. It's just different levels of glow. Now I know I've said this before as well, but you can use anything. Anything will make mushroom, as long as you can make it work basically. So say we use that, and let's get ourselves the most obscure block. We'll do it like this. This is going to be the worst combination, but we're going to make it work. Let's see if we can make this style work. Probably not, but we will. We'll do a small one. Very tiny one. Tiny. And this is the thing, because mushrooms come in all shapes, all sizes, they work really well together basically. So you can use any block, and I'll show you some tiny ones that I make as well. So just take some of this out, and then, when I say obscure, if you're going to do alien-esque worlds, there is a very weird looking mushroom, but it works. And it works either way, so you can add anything into this. Obviously that's too light, but that works. Now let's try. What I'm going to do for you now is show you some of my mini mushrooms that I make. Now mini mushrooms you can do with different lights. This is quite helpful, to be honest. So let's get, say, we'll try an N1, and then we'll put one there. Mini mushrooms. You can put the, and these are very helpful. So if you've got all these big mushrooms that are not giving quite enough light, just add one, add a light on top, and you can always cover it up with trapdoors. So let's get some weird trapdoors. Let's try some of these. Let's do trapdoor like this. Almost a mini mushroom. So yeah, mushrooms work, especially alien biomes, swamps, you name it. But if you can make it have a story as well, like this one would work quite well in the Nether. These are more swamp biomes or alien biomes, and obviously these are your basic ones. But yes, that is my attempt at mushrooms. And I hope you guys were able to follow along with how I made these mushrooms. They were all different styles, so I'd love to see some of your artwork. So don't forget to check out my Discord and add some pictures of what you've made. And if you followed along and learned something, I'm glad you have, because it's all a learning journey for me. And hopefully I'll check you out on my next episode, which I'll be showing you the biome that I've been making. Maybe next time as well on the builds with Golem, we'll be doing some mob head work. So we'll be working on how mob heads work with computers and other stuff like that. So I can't wait to see you next time. And don't forget to stay crafty.